Everyone, this will be my video lecture in CVN or Chameleon Values and Norms. Today is August 31, 2022. It's a Wednesday morning. So my video lecture will be for all blocks, no? From blocks A, B, and C in CVN, no? So all sections will have to view my lecture for today. Similarly, on Friday, I also have my lecture again in CVN for all the blocks also. No? So we continue. But before I proceed with my video lecture, I'd like to inform you that we are using this book, no? Chameleon Values and Norms. And also next week, we will start also our topic on English grammar. This is a transition program for those who have, because we are not satisfied with your English proficiency, so we also have to check your English proficiency and also this book. So in this class, you will be using 3 books. This one, Chameleon Values and Norms. Then you will also be using Mastering English Grammar, this book. And then finally, you also have to use this. Let us study sentences. So the last time, we talked about the general characteristics of values, no? And we finished, or we mentioned already 5 of them. Today, I will be discussing 5 more general characteristics of values. But before proceeding to the 6th characteristic, I'd like to review you first about the first 5, no? And what did we say? We said that we talk about the general characteristics, no? These are the general characteristics of values by way of a review again of values, no? So we said that when we talk of values, these are general guidelines, no? General guidelines for what? Well, they define, they motivate, and they direct our actions in such a manner that it will be in conformity with what is acceptable, no? What is desirable, what is acceptable, no? These are general guidelines that will bring about acceptable behavior, no? Okay? I will not discuss this at length because we have discussed this the last time. So secondly, aside from their general guidelines, what else? What are values? Well, we said also that they occupy an order in the hierarchy of values. Order in the hierarchy of values. Now, when we say hierarchy, this is like a classification as to rank. No, we rank them as to which one is the most important, the important, and the least important. So there is an order. Example of which is, of course, for one person, he might be valuing in this hierarchy of values, he might be valuing more honesty, while another person will value courage as the most important. So each one of us will have his own hierarchy of values, no? There is a rank. We classify them as to rank. Which one is most important, and the least important. Okay, I discussed this already last time, so I do not want to belabor my point. So the third characteristic, this is just a review, by the way. The third characteristic is that it is normative in character. Values are normative in character. What do we mean by normative? This term, when we talk of normative, we are talking about it's an evaluative standard. There is an evaluative standard. What do we mean by evaluative standard? Well, we evaluate our actions, our conduct, our behavior in such a manner that we use values as the measuring scale. Huh? Say for instance, if you would like to, if you would like to go to a certain place. Of course, you use values as which one do you prefer more, no? Like you want to go to a local tour, no? Or domestic tour, or an international tour, no? So you are given these options, no? Of course, in choosing the kind of tour that you would like to go, values may play an evaluative element, no? So depending on your budget and depending on which place you would like to go to, it may be local, it might be domestic, it might be international. No? It depends on the values that you embrace or you possess. No? The four general characteristics, what did we say again about values? Well, aside from being normative, they are also abstract in character. Aside from being normative in character, they are also abstract. No? Fourth would be abstract in nature. What do we mean by abstract? Anyone? What do you mean by this word? Abstract, it's not capable of being touched or being seen by the physical senses. No? By the physical senses, we cannot see, we cannot touch. Not capable of ascertaining through our physical senses, no? So values, you cannot see values, you cannot touch values because they are abstract, no? You cannot see them, you cannot touch them, you cannot taste them by the use of your senses because they remain in abstract. They only reside in the mind of every person, no? That is what we mean by abstract. Oh, that's abstract to me, meaning you cannot see them, you cannot touch them, you cannot feel them, feel by meaning by the use of your skin, or you cannot also taste them. Okay, the last general characteristic which I have given you last time is it's a matter of values are a matter of faith and belief. Of course, we defined last time what is faith. Faith is you have to place your confidence, trust and confidence to something because you believe that something will lead to something that is good, that will lead to goodness. Now in the case of belief, why do you believe in something? You accept something as true. Accept something as true without what? Without proof, without any proof, no? So these are two different things, no? When we say faith, you place your confidence in something because you believe that in placing your confidence to that something, it will bring you goodness. Okay? So those were the different characteristics that I have discussed last time. We move on to the 6 general characteristics. You have to remember them all. We move on to the 6 general characteristics of values. Now, the 6 is of course values. They are related to the emotions and sentiments. So in short, because they are related to emotions or sentiments, they have what we call an affective impact, no? An affective impact. So what do you mean by affective? Well, you use your heart, no? You use your heart in saying that, okay, this particular value will have an impact to me as to how I will decide certain things, no? Remember that when we talk of the affective impact, you use this, no? Your heart, your emotions, your sentiments. compared to what we call the cognitive, no? There is a cognitive impact. Where do we put this? The cognitive aspect will refer to the mind, no? Whereas affective would refer to your heart, to your emotions, to your sentiments. So they have an affective impact, no? So meaning, you just do not decide based on the cognitive, but more so on your emotions, on your sentiments also, no? Okay, so that is the 6th general characteristic of values. Then the 7th general characteristic would be what we call values now become the basis, no? Values become the basis, your basis. This one is letter E, no? Because it's plural. For the choices of things. For the choices of things, no? Why? Why is this? No, they become the basis. I wrote twice, no, become. They become the basis for the choices of things. Well, of course, when you value, example, when you value courage very much, no? And this courage occupies the highest position in your hierarchy of values. In choosing your mate or your partner, you also want somebody who is courageous, no? Remember that values become the basis for the choices of things that you make. Now, if you put so much emphasis on the value of courage because it occupies the highest in your hierarchy, in choosing, no, your partner or your mate or your boyfriend, of course, you also want somebody who is very courageous. That is what we call they form part, or they become the basis in the choices of things. Okay? Okay, let me proceed now to the 8th general characteristic of values. We have to move fast because we have still something to discuss. Well, they are relatively permanent in character, no? Relatively permanent in nature or character. Permanent, why is this? Why are values permanent? Relatively, we're not saying permanent, relatively permanent in nature. Well, because values are formed when? When are values formed? Well, they are relatively permanent in one's individuals for because they are formed when? During the formative years of your life. No? Formative years of your life. Meaning, when we talk of the formative years, we talk about your childhood. And of course, being formed during your childhood, the most influential persons who would help you form your own value system would be your parents or your family. Clear? Remember that these are formed, values are formed during your formative years. So what we mean by formative years will be during your childhood. And during your childhood, of course, the most influential people whom you interact with would be your parents or your family. So that is the 8th, no? The 8th general characteristic. Do not worry, everything has been written down. Everything has been discussed in your book. So you just have to get a copy of the book, no? The 9th general characteristic is, of course, they bring cohesiveness in society. They bring cohesiveness. I'm running out of ink again, no? They bring cohesiveness in society. So what do we mean by cohesiveness? Well, here, social cohesion. What do we mean by social cohesion? Cohesive meaning there is what we call unity. No? Why is this? Well, because you share the same values, people who share the same values, of course, will eliminate what? You will eliminate conflicts or disagreement, no? You eliminate this because you share the same values, correct? And of course, what else? Well, communication would be a lot easier if you share the same values also, no? Communication is very, very easy. And of course, it also fosters trust and confidence. Fosters trust and confidence among people, no? So these are the reasons why it brings about, values bring about cohesiveness or social cohesion. Social because there will be unity in society. It eliminates conflicts, disagreements, no? It makes communication easier because you share the same values. It also fosters trust and confidence. And then finally, the 10th characteristic, which I will be discussing today, general characteristic of values would be what? Well, of course, in everything that we do, even our value system, it is for a purpose. And that purpose, of course, is it is motivated. Values are motivated. Motivated by what? By, it's motivated for public welfare. It boils down to this, no? Why do we have values? Well, of course, because we want to achieve what we call the common good. No, we want the common good. And remember that the most important things in life are, what do we want? Order, happiness, no? Proper organization, no? Proper organization, peace. And of course, because of these values will bring about what we call public welfare. That public welfare is reduced to what we call the common good, where your society will have order, will have happiness, will have proper organization, will have peace. Okay, here. So I have mentioned to you the general characteristics of values. Now we proceed to the general types or kinds of values. Do not worry, these are all this has been discussed in the book that you will have, no? Familiar Values and Norms. So the book is available in the LRI, the Learning Resources Institute. Now in 1973, a psychologist by the name of Milton Rockich. It's 1973. He has written down a book called The Nature of Values. No? The Nature of Values. No? Now I'd like you to read this. No? I'd like you to read this. This will be your assignment number 1. No? Your assignment number 1 is to read his book, The Nature of Values, and then you summarize. No? You summarize what has been discussed in the nature of, summarize his work. No? That's number 1. No? That's number 1. This is assignment number 1, by the way. Assignment number 1, which you will be writing it down in a yellow sheet of pad paper. No? Summarize this. No? The work of Milton Rockich. No? The Nature of Values. It's a 1973 work. No? So I'd like you to summarize that. That is the first one. And the second one is still in your assignment number 1. No? The second one is I'd like you to list down 5, what we call, we will discuss this later on. List down 5 terminal values, and also you specify the instrumental values which you ought to have in order for you to achieve your terminal values. Clear? So I want you to list down 5 of your terminal values, and because this one is considered as your end goals, these are your end goals, I want you also to specify the instrumental values on how you will be able to achieve your terminal values. Okay? It's assignment number 1. Now number 3, for assignment number 1 would be number 3 in your assignment number 1 would be you have to summarize the work of Max Ferdinand Schiller, no? And the title of his work is, I have discussed this to you last time. What was the title of his work? The Theory of Value. So there are 3 numbers all in all. You need to read the work of Max Ferdinand Schiller, The Theory of Value. You also need to read the work of Milton Rockich, no, in The Nature of Values. Okay, so let us proceed with his work, no, the work of Milton Rockich, no, in The Nature of Values. He said, this guy has said, Rockich has classified values into what we call there are 2 values. There are 2 general types or kinds of values. We call the first one as your instrumental values. Instrumental values. And the second one is what he calls the terminal values. No? Terminal values. No? So in short, there are 2, according to Rockich, there are 2 general types of values. We call them the instrumental values and then the terminal values. Let us discuss this first. The instrumental values. What are instrumental values? Well, when we talk of instrumental, by the term instrument alone, these are what we call the means. These are the means by which you achieve your life goals, no? We call that life goals, or we call that your ultimate life goals, no? So these are the means, no? The means or methods. Means or methods by which you achieve your life goals or your ultimate goals, your end goals. The other term for life goals would be your end goals, no? Okay, so we have defined that already. What are instrumental values? These are the means or the methods by which you achieve your end goals. Now, how about terminal values? What are terminal values? Anyone? What's an idea about terminal values? When we talk of terminal values, on the other hand, okay, terminal values, when we talk about this, okay, all eyes on the board. When we talk about terminal values, you are talking about your end goals in life, no? End goals in life, no? So, in short, these are what you want to achieve during your lifetime, and we call that your terminal values. Now we have to differentiate one from the other, no? So that you will have a clearer picture on what are instrumental values and what are terminal values, no? According to Milton Rockich, no? So let us list them down. What's the difference between terminal values? When I say terminal, these are terminal values, no? What are terminal values again? These are your end goals, no? End goals in life. And the other one is what we call your instrumental values. Instrumental values. And these instrumental values are the means for you to achieve your end goals. Now, if this is the means, we are more talking about, when we talk of instrumental values, we are talking more about personality traits, no? Personality traits or character, no? Say for instance, of course, for example, your terminal value that you would like to achieve is to become successful. So how are you going to achieve this? Successful in your professional career, for instance. Profession, no? In your profession, no? Successful in your profession. So what will be your example of an instrumental value in order for you to succeed in your profession? Well, perhaps you have to be hard working, no? Hard working, no? Or of course you are, say, again, tenacious, no? Something like that, no? So these are personality traits. That's why they are called instrumental values, no? So again, let us compare one from the other. Let us compare terminal values. Could you give me one comparison between terminal values and instrumental values? Of course, I told you already that terminal values are your ultimate. No, these are your ultimate or end goals. We call those end goals in life. Whereas here, because they are just the means, what are they then? They are the methods or means. Methods or means to what? To achieve your terminal goals. No, they're just the methods or the means. What else? No, of course, another comparison would be you consider this, your terminal values, as the most important in your life. Diba? Because you want to achieve something most important and desirable. You consider them as the most important and desirable in life. When you set your terminal values, you consider them as the most important and desirable in life. Now, how about instrumental values? How do you consider them? Well, they are just what? Traits. They are personality traits. Personality traits and character that you ought to possess in order for you to achieve your terminal values. The third difference is, of course, this one for terminal values, they are the highest values. They are the highest values in your value system. No? Imagine they are the highest because they are your ultimate goal or end goal in life. So they occupy the highest value. So how about in the case of instrumental values? Well, they are just the commonly used modes of behavior. Commonly, they are considered as the commonly used modes of behavior. No, they are the commonly used. No, meaning, they are the means. No, they are the means. So your behavior should be aligned to what you want to achieve in life. And then finally, the fourth difference between terminal values and instrumental values is what? No? Of course, in the case of terminal values, they are considered as your essence, no? Because you are setting this as your end goal. This is considered as your essence or purpose in life, no? They are considered as your essence or purpose in life. Whereas in the case of instrumental values, what are they? No? There are values that we use in our daily life. Values that we use in our daily life. So these are the differences. You see, terminal values will make you more productive because that will be your essence or purpose in life, whereas instrumental values are values that you use in your daily life. No? So I think that is all for today. It might be too long if I proceed some more, but I'd like you to have a copy of this book, no? Familiar Values, because this is where our topics will come from. And also next week I will start my lecture in English grammar already, so I want you also to have this book and also this book. Okay, that is all for today. Good morning, everyone.